They certainly are, and you know, having a rock like Koro up there just changes the amount of variables that can go wrong at one time. Don't want to really introduce Bamey and Amazing Jay at the same time, but Bamey, he's had some okay performances. Definitely isn't the X factor that Pawn is, in that mid lane, but has been able to step up.
Yeah, and Rumble, actually, the last ban there for QG means that Rise has gotten through if EDG want to take it away. Koro, it's hard to remember as they do take the Rise. This man can be a carry in the top lane.
Yeah, he certainly can. He's a great anti-dive player, likes to start fights up, but the thing about Koro that's always impressed me is that his laning phase went up this year, and giving him something like Rise that can really bully out a lane is just going to give him even more windows to exploit it. We saw it with the Gnar pickup towards the start of the season, but Rise is just going to continue that trend.
Yeah, and even giving up Def's Kalista of all things, or maybe another strong pick. They'll get the Victor there as well. That's been a Doinby special for the last few weeks. He's locked that one in for himself, so Swift will give that to him, and Kalista's going to be their next pick. TNC loves to be aggressive. Why not on Kalista?
Yeah, exactly right. It denies it away from Def down in the bottom lane, means that Mako isn't going to be able to run a hyper-aggressive kill lane because Kalista can kite a lot of that out as well. So we'll see whether something does come through. I'm looking towards maybe Annie for Mako now because there are two relatively squished targets. That ultimate would do a lot of work, but right now, hovering the Nautilus.
I mean, does Nautilus maybe do the same sort of thing? Not as aggressive, but similar?
Yeah, well, able to get the depth charge down onto Kalista means that she can't dodge out of it. It just hunts her forever until it knocks her off. Then you can chain the CC very well. Especially, wow, that's going to be a mid-rise.
It is.
Or a jungle Maokai, you know? I'm not sold that jungle Maokai still isn't good coming through there.
We'll have to see there. But Maokai Nautilus are the picks here for EDG, keeping it nice and flexible in the draft. And I look over at that Kalista. All of a sudden, I'm TNC. I look across at just the first 3 picks, and I'm very afraid for my life.
Yeah, I'm like first item QSS. There is a lot of lockdown CC right now on that lineup, and you know, it's only going to get worse as they round out some more picks because they still have a jungle position, and Clearlove definitely likes to go some heavy CC. Over on that side, Sejuani's still available. Yeah,
Swift actually going to go for the Gragas here, so we'll take that away from Clearlove potentially and give it to himself. Of course, pecking over the Rek'Sai, but Hecarim going to be locked in here as well. That's the one other notable thing that was left open. V's horse has been amazing in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it certainly has, and this is generally what we see banned against QG. They like to take that off the Rift because it's just such good anti-carry potential, and if Deft was willing to take a Twitch, a very immobile carry into a Hecarim, that could be the start of maybe bad things to come for EDG. But if anyone can pull off a strategic positioning AD carry like that, it's definitely going to be Twitch.
I was personally hoping he was just going to play Urgot and have the super tanky team again, but they're considering at least the Rek'Sai, probably not the jungle Maokai this time at least, Spawn. I'm sure it's there somewhere ready to be picked. They're hovering Def's Jinx as well. I believe still undefeated so far in the champion. Apparently EDG want to keep that record alive. Jinx Rek'Sai are their last few picks.
Yeah, and you know, the Nunu was available and they've locked in the Jinx, but they haven't gone with it. So that's a lot more of aggression out of the jungle position. Clearlove needs to probably go into gank heavy mode this game and try and start snowballing some lanes in his favor, because you look at the carry potential and the raw damage that will come out of Hecarim, Victor, as well as Kalista, and that becomes a scary team fight for the 2 primary carries on the back line the longer the game goes for EDG.
I don't know how I feel about picking... trying to outgank Swift as a jungler, especially on a champion like Gragas Series. Seems that Braum actually might be the last pick through. We'll pair in there with the Kalista. But yeah, Clearlove, we've seen some great ganking games from him. Lee Sin, especially early on in the year, was fantastic. But Swift is a very scary, aggressive jungler.
Yeah, he certainly is. You know, Swift coming across from Korea is very much made a stamp in the LPL. In the second split since he's been in here. He really does excel on the likes of the Gragas and Sejuani, but you know, also able to pull out the curveball of the tank Nocturne that then went full damage and killed lots of things. So definitely an experienced jungler in that lineup, and I agree. Going head-to-head with him maybe is a scary opportunity, but with the Tremor Sense, should be able to at least get some good counter ganks off.
Yeah, you can see the matchups here. Koro going to have his trusty Maokai back up against V's Hecarim. Curious to see how that sort of falls out there. Moving down to the jungle there as well. Gragas versus Rek'Sai, nice and standard.
Yeah, so we'll see whether Rek'Sai is able to counter gank the Gragas. Gragas, very potent ganks coming through there, and Swift, he's going to look to probably get Bamey's lane behind early because Rise does struggle in that case.
It does like to gank for Doinby as well. That'll be interesting there in the mid lane. And Deft back on the Jinx against TNC's Kalista. Still undefeated on the champion, but that record has to break sometime, right?
Yeah, it certainly does. And you know, Mako, he's got his work cut out for him this game because you feel that he has to lock that Kalista down, really be the person to make TNT's life miserable in that bottom lane. Otherwise, this might be another QG upset, and they've stacked them up so far this season. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another.
No, not at all. I mean, again, they made their name in this split by taking out big name LPL teams. We've got another one on the list. It's a really big one in EDG. But if anyone can do it, it might be QG.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. And they've put together a 3-threat comp, and they're very hard to deal with. As I said, the longer this game goes, the more you feel it goes over into QG's favor. Really only the Jinx being hyperscaling. I'm unsure about Changed Rise. His Chain CC, very potent, but you do have to build him squishier than you used to have to build him. Like, you used to be able to grab ridiculous things like Frozen Hearts, Banshees, Veils, and be this tanky machine gun, kill everyone. But right now, he seems to go a little bit more AP focused, and that will make him more susceptible to the Hecarim in the late game.
Is the mid lane maybe a consideration here as well? Because it is actually mid-rise, which we haven't seen as much of, but seen a little bit of around the world.
Yeah, well, what it will do is it will give him a lot more farm early in the game in a safer manner.
Well, we'll have to find out exactly how it does. We're going to get onto the Rift for game number 1. And already here for game number 1 between EDG and QG. And Def's undefeated Jinx is going to go for another one here, but EDG probably still licking their wounds after their upset CUP in game last week. And QG, they've been the Titan killers so far. It sleeps like in Slayer God today.
Yeah, they certainly have. So we have just a fairly standard start coming through from everyone. 5-point defense set up for QG. You can see some double jungling going to occur for EDG. And just standard lanes, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess QG probably feel confident enough in their laners here. Deft and Mako, something like 2v2ing when they can get it here. So things are going to be okay. V will actually get a bit of farm for himself using that smite, but he'll be just fine against the Maokai, you have to think.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be the case as they take away the Gromp here for QG's bottom lane. Going to get the early experience advantage. Deft actually taking out the Krugs very effectively, so we'll see whether that works out in their favor.
Yeah, wanting to make sure they get a bit of experience each year. We'll be able to match the Gromp after taking out the Krugs, but it is standard lanes here, level 2. Nice and important in bottom lane, as always.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you see Deft moving in there, going to be able to start farming up, shove that lane out with the Rockets, probably be able to push Calixter in early, although TCT already very aggressive.
Good block there from Mako as well. There's the level 2 for Braum as well. So going to have to be a bit careful here. The experience league going for QG's favor early on.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, just standard trading. Now the level 2's been reached already for QG's bottom lane. They're definitely in an advantage to be able to take this one through. And we'll see whether Deft and Mako are able to peg it back and farm this Jinx up to the mid-game carry she needs to be.
Yeah, they'll hit their level 2 now. So things should be okay. Not expecting too many kills on the bottom side. But as far as the matchup goes, Braum actually, nice to see him being played a bit more, but very different from the Kalista lanes we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, it gives Kalista the ability to hide behind someone. There is a lot of straight line projectiles that's going to be flying towards Kalista. The additional resistances that come through from Braum also very useful with the amount of lockdown and, I guess, AP damage that will be targeted towards TNT. So I like the pickup of Braum. I think that he unfairly fell out of favor because these poke lane bullies came through and just never came back.
Yeah, I mean, now starting to see a lot more engage-based melee support, so it makes sense that Braum would rotate his way back in. Top side of the map, you can see V and Korra having a bit of a battle. A very slight lead there for Hecarim, but nothing too noticeable just yet.
Yeah, but Swift already looking to get aggressive. Deep Vision going to come through here for QG. And it's looking very much like just a standard early game for both
And
teams.
this is Swift through and through. He loves to walk into the enemy jungle and just get in there. I mean, Swift, he's so aggressive. We've seen him gank early. We've seen lots of level 2 ganks. He's super creative, so not surprising at all to see him just go straight in there and try to at least get some vision in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's gone for the extremely deep vision there. So, as you said, just pretty much Swift to a T, getting in there nice and early, setting himself up for some early success, although now he will be spotted out.
Yep, going to actually check on the Krug camp there. We'll see it. We're going to try and take it away with the counter jungle there as well. Clearlove actually on the other side of the map, so going to be a successful takeaway there for Swift.
Yeah, so he also needs to be careful now in the bottom lane because Deft and Mako have someone behind them. It's being shoved in quite hard right now. And Braum, relatively good diver in his own right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if any team's going to get really aggressive and dive, it's QG. If you remember that week 1 dive against LGD, it was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, it certainly was. Being able to juggle all of the aggro, take people down in an equal fight nearly, come through, no one dead, pick up everything in response. QG coordination as a team for such a new LPL team is certainly something impressive to watch.
It really is here. And I've just been impressed. I mean, especially with Swift and Doinby, they're the Korean duo. They're the ones that have really gotten together and made sure that they can work together, gank lanes or dive other lanes here. But Swift, to me, feels like he's starting to sort of respect his other laners as well, and the whole team in general starting to mesh together.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, I like the fact that you mentioned the tag team there that comes through and the fact that they're able to get into other lanes. The early vision is really what sets that up. They deny vision very well, get theirs set up, only make moves when they have the information required, and from there, it's just outright aggression. When they commit incredibly hard.
Yeah, they just go all in. It's funny, they're almost like a classic Chinese team here.
Yeah, exactly
As
right.
Bamey and Doinby going to have a bit of a fight. There's Swift actually flashing in with a body slam. Gravity field's good. Bamey's forced to flash, and he'll just get away safely.
Yeah, but you see exactly what we're talking about. Flash in on that engaged from Swift. Gets the couple of auto attacks to see if he can chunks him out. Takes the extra turret shot even to see if they can eke a kill out of that. Unfortunately, not able to grab it, but they do get both summoner spells out of Bamey in the mid lane.
Yeah, those double Moby summoners just helping him get away, but will not be the same if Swift comes in for the revisit.
Yeah, it certainly won't. And, that's just not great things for Rise because he's already falling slightly behind in the laning phase. 15 CS actually, so falling quite a bit behind, and it's not going to get any better as Victor's wave clear continues to ramp up.
No, this is always the funniest thing when Rise was, I guess, back in the meta in the top lane here. The difference between top lane Rise being a bully and mid lane Rise kind of being a mushroom.
Yeah, exactly right. If you're able to get up there, push the wave. Wave manipulation on Rise is so important. You're able to use your spells to stack minion waves up, and you make people trade with you, so then you're able to continue to push it into the turret. Then they have to choose to absorb CFs, and you're just able to chunk them out over and over again. That's where Rise is at his best. When he has no summoner spells, and you have to let the wave come to you, and you're the one CSing under turret, people do that to you incredibly easily.
Yeah, and like we've said, QG, if they're going to get aggressive and dive, probably look to the mid lane here. Pick on Bamey, the substitute player, who, as we said, very solid, been great so far for the team, but not outstanding. I mean, it's hard when Pawn's on the team.
Yeah, exactly right. Bamey fills a very different role from Pawn, doesn't really get in other people's face as much as Pawn, likes to farm up and kind of just team up with his team and get around there. More of a team fighting mid laner than what I guess Pawn, who's just like a second jungler and does crazy things on TF, although he feeds sometimes too. And
Pawn feeds with style though.
He certainly does. He's a great feeder when he does it. They win when he feeds for some reason.
Yes, which is my favorite
bizarre. Yeah, but we have Bamey in the mid lane, and Gragas, an incredibly good ganker over those walls with the body slam, will look to get aggressive. You have to think.
Yeah, and Kalilov been a little bit quiet so far in these lanes, but we'll see if he can get anything done early on here in this particular game. Again, Swift, we're looking at him to make the early impact because you look kind of across the lanes. I feel like QG are relatively happy to farm up there as well. I mean, kind of on both these sides. They pick standard lanes, fairly neutral across the board. People are just kind of happy to do what they need to do.
Yeah, exactly right. As soon as you've got something like a Kalista Hecarim, you feel very good until the extreme late game where Kalista might fall off a little bit because she doesn't have that crit stat to come through. But especially when you're dealing with tanks, you go double lifesteal, going to be able to absorb a lot of the damage, stay fairly relevant with your mobility and the fact that you can slow people, get those Ren sets. And the fact that there is an aggressive burst mage in the mid lane like Victor that can chunk people to half health and then allow the Kalista to go to work, you feel that their scaling and the ability to stay relevant in this game will always be there. They've got an additional split pushing threat through being able to keep Victor in a lane against Rise as well. There's just a lot of good things that they can do.
Yeah, I feel like Victor, to me, is still a champion I haven't quite figured out yet because we're seeing a lot of him. He's a fairly popular champion, sort of came back into competitive play. We're seeing a little bit of play and then had some issues on the client, couldn't be played, and all of a sudden kind of re-enabled people going back to the champion. Off the top of your head, Spawn, what do you think it is about Victor that people just love to play? Because he's seeing so much play.
So a couple of things. So the biggest thing is straight line wave clear. It doesn't exist in the game aside from a couple of people. That's why Sivir sees a lot of play. Because the thing about straight line wave clear is apart from circular wave clear like Gragas Barrel, means that you get the wave before it hits the turret, which is huge. Because if you're able to clear out that wave, it means things like Trinity Force isn't effective because you don't get that pot shot onto the turret, which makes Victor incredibly good from both ahead and behind because he clears waves like no one else does. The second thing is the strategic diversity, and we talk about it a lot. Victor can go defensive builds. He's fantastic with things because he's a mid-range mage, like the Abyssal, get in their face and really shred away some resistances. Although you can also go things like Death Cap and Lich Bane and then just flash onto carries and blow them up with your Q. Like, that does ridiculous amounts of damage with the Lich Bane passive on top of it. You get your Laser Beam and the Chaos Storm, and it just goes nuts. And he's got fairly good zone control, and zone control is the last thing that really cements the rest of his kit together. Has the gravity field, especially when it pulls people towards the middle of it, like that Shockwave. Has the ultimate that you don't really want to enter as a squishy, so it zones that part of the team fight as well. So the straight line wave clear, the ability that he fulfills multiple different roles within the team, and just the zone control make him a very attractive, all-round good pick. Doesn't do any of them the best out of any of the roles, but does them all very well. Yeah,
that makes sense, right? I mean, a lot of top mid lane players are going to be drawn to versatile champions. We already talked a bit about Echo today. Maybe not quite as versatile as Echo, but the same sort of theory, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, there's also the fact that he runs generally double mobility, although we see the cleanse in this matchup, and flashes over terrains and kills people really well. He has a very low, I guess, cooldown of being able to get all of his abilities off. You can get them off in very short amount of time. So if you're an AD carry or a mage that's standing next to a wall, if you don't have a ward on the other side, there is always the potential for Victor to just one-shot you over the wall.
It's weird to talk about it, but Victor has very high face check potential, kind of like Garen, I guess, as the old joke goes. You just walk in a brush and, oh, you're dead.
You're dead. Yeah, he throws everything at you. Kind of reminds me of AP Cog, where AP Cog, like, Q, E, R's you when you die.
Yeah.
Like, Victor kind of does the same thing.
Sure, and that's good stuff to see. I mean, I like seeing him coming back. I think in general, with, again, Echo being added, with Ryze being stronger, there's a lot of diversity now in the game. It's not just like, hey, let's ban out the top tier picks in certain roles and see what we can manipulate you into not getting. Now it's like, yeah, there are kind of more better picks now. People are targeting banned a little bit more now that the teams have learned a bit more about each other. And even in this draft, I think both teams are comfortable, but it's very different to what we were seeing just even a couple of weeks ago before 5.10.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I like what you said. There are just so many strong picks right now that you can't ban teams out anymore. Like, gone are the days where you're like, I know who we're going to throw bans out on Snake and the likes of that and really take someone off the Rift, because there are just so many, like, as I said, this S tiers are starting to deteriorate. I don't think there's clear-cut best in roles like there were last season, although Gragas is definitely still up there. But there's certainly a lot of very strong picks in the current meta, and you have people like Amazing J that we keep talking about that plays crazy things like the Fizz, and Flandre that wants to take Echo top lane and build a Trinity Force and have Smite and Frozen Heart and cooldown reduction boots. Like, there are so many different things that you can do on Summoner's Rift right now. Just makes every game unique and cool.
Yeah, I think even the Gragas thing now, because we're no longer getting junglers randomly banned. So I feel like every jungler's just in their happy place now, because you can almost guarantee in most of your drafts you're going to get either Gragas or Rek'Sai.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you're an Echo player, you throw the Echo in that category as well, and they're kind of the three that have come to the top. Nunu always going to be popular as long as Azir and Jinx are running around, because he just does so much with the rest of their kit. So yeah, everyone's kind of in their happy place. We've even seen mixed success with mid-range AD carries coming back. The likes of Vayne is back, which always brings things like Corki back into the meta that can deal with it very well. So across the board, there is just a lot of different picks that you can currently take.
And I think Jinx is even interesting in this comp as well, because you said it. They had the Nunu available here to EDG and didn't take it. EDG have so many wins playing Nunu Jinx, just Nunu Jinx, not even with the Azir this time. I'm trying to think, as far as function goes in this comp, we know how good of a Jinx player Deft is, but what does Jinx achieve in this comp that maybe a different AD carry could have as well, or maybe couldn't, because they obviously picked Jinx
So got really good ability to shove down waves. So the thing is that as soon as they win a team fight, they will take turrets incredibly quickly, because the Jinx has a ramp up on the minigun and then just absolutely mows through it. So that's the first thing that does really well. Other thing, outranges Victor. So Victor, very short mid-range, needs to get up in your face. Jinx should be able to rocket him on his way in and get a lot of damage off. So when you play mid-range AD carries, you generally, mid-range AP carries, you generally want very long-range AD carries. And that's the mistake that they went with the early Kalista pick, because Kalista is 100% always going to be in range of Ryze's Rune Prism, as long as she's hitting Ryze, which means they trade damage fairly evenly, as opposed to someone like Jinx that outright outranges Victor.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Kalista, we already talked about it, was an early pick in the draft here for QG. Clearly a comfortable champion here for TNT as he popped back into the game here. But Kalista just looks to be in trouble, as we see. Game's kind of progressed quite a bit at this point, but a tower up for QG, now starting their first dragon.
Yeah, so they're trying to pick that one up. You see in the top lane, a kill was picked up for Koro after a gank came through for Koro. by Clear Love, and they were able to take V out.
So, I mean, again, doing a bit more of what he needs to do, getting some ganking presence going. We talked about Clear Love needing to be proactive. It's only 1 kill, but it's a good start here. And unfortunately for Korra, he's on the Maokai this time, not a massive carry champion. Maybe something closer to his Na, or even something crazier like the Fizz.
Yeah, exactly right. And you see, guys, QG were able to pick up the first Dragon of the game, so that one did come through. And they've just built CS advantages in the majority of the lanes. Apart from that mid lane where Doinby is still taking it to Bamey very heavily, looks like EDG at least comfortable on the rest of the map.
Yeah, looking good so far here, but I think Doinby might have to do a bit more heavy lifting in this game here. Swift, he's had a decent game, but getting pretty out-jungled by Clear Love at this stage, about 20 CS up there for the Rek'Sai. We talked about the Victor potential, all the good things that he does do. So if EDG can avoid that, that's great. Because if not, Doinby's going to have a really good mid game.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the danger right now. You see Doinby continue to skill up, continue to get a little bit more fed. And that presents a threat to anyone that wants to dive onto the back lines of QG, because he's going to be there. And if you're coming towards Victor, that's when Victor's at his best. So definitely think that that is a threat. The 20 minion lead there for Clear Love is absolutely huge. Monsters in the jungle give so much more experience, especially if you're someone like Clear Love, who generally skips wolves and goes for Raptors, Krugs, his 2 main camps that he takes away. Means that he is going to be able to take a lot more of the jungle, because he does kind of hover around bottom lanes in aggressive situations. Does like to keep depth fairly safe.
I feel like Clear Love has a very unique style on Rek'Sai. Like, because comparing to Qiao as an example, right? They're 2 great Rek'Sai players, but they play so differently.
Yeah, they certainly do. And, you know, Qiao, I feel, is the best reactionary jungler, because he looks at what the other jungler is going to do and then tries to mirror them and do it better. So if he's against a gank-heavy jungler, he will either really gank-heavy as well and try and get in their face, or he'll just put his jungler on farm and say, if you're unsuccessful, I'm going to win in the long run. Clear Love does this cool thing where he'll gank a lane, appear there, but then never go back to that lane. And then he'll hover another lane and make sure it's relatively safe. Then he'll appear back in the lane that he ganked the first time and keep it like very quelled down and his lane's in control. And what it does, it allows him to farm at a very good pace through very clever jungle routes that he takes, but also keeps, I guess, pressure that you wouldn't necessarily think is there through good sweeping of wards and just the occasional visit. And that's generally Koro's lane. Doesn't get camped, does Koro. Like, he generally does have to win the lane one-on-one, but 2 or 3 times during the game, Clear Love will just pop up there, wave his hand, like make sure people know that he's around, and then go back into his jungle.
Sort of blood boss. Usually it's on Nunu.
Yeah, that's the Clear Love special. Yeah. Run into top lane and just snowball the top laner. Do nothing else. Run back out, like maybe give a dance. But he just snowballs someone. It's like, yeah, I'm still on the map. You still have to worry about me if you want to go for a dive.
And it's funny to think about Clear Love, who was like a legacy Evelyn player, has even played it a bit. Obviously had the massive success at MSI, but even recently likes to pull it out with the Trinity Force every now and then in the LPL, the split. I think that translates so much to his implied pressure on Evelyn, because he does the same thing. It's just like, if I make you think that I'm there, my laners are going to get an inherent advantage.
Yeah, exactly right. And it also puts a lot of pressure in this game on Swift, but for anyone else, the other jungle, because they have to react to what they think Clear Love's going to do. And he really does, in that situation, when you start hovering lanes, farm incredibly well.
Yeah, he's a bit unpredictable there as well. So Clear Love, a bit of a tricky man to keep track of, but we're going to have to go to a quick break, guys. Hopefully not too much longer, but we'll see you guys back when we're back. And hey guys, we are back into the game. Fingers crossed here as EDG versus Q2. We have missed quite a bit of the game, so apologies for that. But let's do a bit of detective work here, Spawn. What seems to be going on?
Yeah, so as you can see, bottom lane seems to have got an advantage off at QG, able to, whilst being down CS, pick up a kill onto TNT and TCT. And you see, it looks like top side of the map is where EDG have been trying to focus a lot of their pressure.
Makes sense here. Viz Hecarim really strong. Don't want to get it to the late game where he can really start shining. And already relatively tanky. He got the Cinder Hulk done. He's got his tank items. He's got his Fade. Got a bit of everything so far as the Hecarim, but EDG, nice rotation. Gonna even that turret score almost back to equal at 3-4 now.
Yeah, thank goodness. We're back to an equal game. It's like you missed nothing at all. But you see the Rise still a little bit behind on CS, actually down 50.
Yeah, Bamey.
So Doinby able to do great things in that mid lane against Bamey, and Rise will still stay relevant just for the ability to chain CC on this patch, but needs to be careful because in like actual power, Doinby is just so far ahead right now.
Yeah, Deathcap Morellonomicon there, plus some of that upgraded Hex score coming through for Victor. Still brown boots as TNT goes in. TCT finds Mako there after the Fates call, but he'll just flash away to safety.
Yeah, has to get out of there because the stun would have come through. And you see, sometimes it's just about sending a message. You just want to pick up a big Mexican wrestler and throw him at a whatever the heck Mako is.
Yeah. I'm not sure what a Nautilus is, but it's large.
So sometimes it's a weird message as well.
It is. I mean, QG at least trying to keep on top of EDG. Gold lead very close between the two. About 600 up now for QG, but it was a bit back and forth, I believe. Dragon back up in 45 seconds. That's the other notable thing. QG find themselves up 2 dragons to 0.
Yeah, and we were talking about it in the break, how EDG's, I guess, sacrificing of early dragons seems to have gone away from being able to secure control over other part of the maps to we just give them up because that's what we do now.
Yep.
And there's not really much logic behind them. So we'll have to see in this game whether they can wrestle any control back, because they do like to pick up the third if they can.
Yeah, third's going to be important here for QG. I think EDG must look to contest here. And looking down the items, I think they've got a reasonable shot at doing so.
Yeah, it certainly appears to be very close apart from that mid lane where Doinby with the death cap and the upgraded hex score is just going to be pumping out damage. He's just got so much current AP. You can see there like 620 odd.
Yeah, how long does Rise even take to charge up here? Because his spikes have really shifted as far as power goes. I mean, he's got his Sork Shoes. I think that's a fully charged Rod of Ages, and he's got his Seraphs ready. Is he ready to go as far as damage goes?
Yeah, he certainly would be. It's just that Doinby's so rapidly accelerated. He's 20 CS up of where the marquee probably would be as they start up the team fight.
Oh, Cora around the side looking for a flank. Goes in there onto Doinby. Clearlove going to dive in there as well on the Rex side. But TNT over the wall, kiting nicely. Depth Charge goes in. Fade's Call moves them back in. Snipes Depth on the back line as Clearlove is trying to peel. TCT will go down as Depth flashes at the last second. And somehow it is only supports that are dead.
Yeah, but you see, maybe Cora going to be able to rejoin the fight if he can get a teleport off.
He's porting now. He wants to go back in. Bamey's going to turn it around. Look for Doinby. He'll flash out of the way. Cora will get the kill. Depth flirting with danger there as V charges his way back through the lane. TNT, though, goes in massive, gets a kill, but gets taken out. And now Depth still chasing in. He's gotten very, very excited. Getting low on mana. Needs one more rocket. Is going to find it with the red buff.
Gets excited, and all of a sudden, that is a 45-second death timer. A very healthy Coro. Clearlove the ability to teleport back in, and probably a Baron going over to EDG. Turns out, no, nothing. They just gave up 2 dragons to get a Baron.
And the Rek'Sai coming back in as well. That's 2 different teleports making fights different, although Clearlove actually didn't heal up very much, so I guess couldn't spend all his time in the fountain, given that they want to try and take the Baron away, but Coro will do the majority of the tanking here. And talk about an extended team fight.
Yeah, it certainly went for a long time, and that's kind of Coro's special. Gets the initial flank, gets out on no health, and then you have to like kill 2 tanks because he got back into the fight with the teleport, with the home guard boots. They will probably get the dragon off that QG, but losing the Baron at 29 minutes in, definitely not part of the game plan.
Well, we talked about EDG's control over Dragon, or lack of control over Dragon. And a lot of the reason they were doing it was because they would just get a Baron at about 25 minutes and then win the game from this point onwards. So we've seen EDG win games having literally no dragons where the enemy team has 4. Might be a similar looking situation in the game, although they're going to try and contest it. Does go down. Gragas will take it for QG, but Swift now maybe going to get caught out of position. Depth Charge lands onto Doinby as Bamey takes out Swift. But that's the only kill. QG do get the dragon.
Yeah, but the minion wave in such a good position, they're going to be able to shove this one up. They've actually caught the rest of the members.
TCT bound up there. Now going to run in, looking for a slow hook. Is just short. EDG can't find anything else, but they do still have Baron.
Yeah, so they've got the Baron. They're going to use it to push up a couple of lanes right now. Someone probably has to go and grab V because he's pushing incredibly quickly, but this is going to be EDG at least grabbing 1 turret.
They might race. We'll have to see. V does have his teleport, but EDG will just take the turret and then rotate in to take a bit more of the jungle away. V, with them backing off and Cora actually returning, he's going to back off and do some jungle as well.
Yeah, he's probably just going to look to see how much of the camps he can steal away. He's also got good positioning on a flank, so good movement there through from V, trying to steal away a blue buff, get nice and sneaky, but that was a great move from EDG. They're able to grab a kill, grab a turret for themselves as well. Now they control majority of the map, and they're just in a great position to be able to grab a gold objective lead off the dragon, so that off the Baron. So when we talk about gold objectives, it's things like the Baron, things like turrets that actually give you gold in your pocket to spend, whereas things like Dragon, they give you this inherent power that you never really lose.
Yeah, and to me, EDG have always played on the gold objective side of that equation.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what they do. They like to give up Dragon and all of that power that goes across people to funnel CS, most importantly, and then things like turrets onto their important members and really start to get Death, Pawn, Koro rolling and try and sacrifice the rest of the map so that they are stronger on the important members.
Well, they have to try to get things going now. They're looking good so far, even despite the mid lane discrepancy. Only 1,000 gold down there for Bamian. Leads in most of the lanes, if not equal. But Clearlove's the big winner here. He is so far ahead of Swift.
Yeah, he certainly is. Able to get all of that CS that we were speaking about. 50 actually now above him. When they're jungle camps, that just means so much more. And he's going to be a real fight presence right now. He's got the Randuins as well as the Locket of the Iron Solari finished up with that Cinderhold. He's a tanky menace with a knock-up, so Merc Trades don't really do much against him. Going to be putting a lot of pressure on in these team fights.
You can see EDG moving in towards the top side of the map. Want to keep doing good things with their Baron buff. It's running out relatively shortly, but if they can get another tier 2 off of it, that'll be 5 towers falling down there. Just missing the one in mid. They're going to try and go in for it. Damage is good. You can see the Baron cannons just working overtime there to try and take it out as TNT gets sniped by Mako. Def gets the turret, but TNT still getting shot at. Koro diving in, tanking everybody as V dives his way out, but Kallista's already dead. Koro is still alive somehow. Mako goes back in. Doinby doing good damage, but they're still diving in. EDG relentless in their pressure. A double kill for Def. Bami's going to get the third, and that's 4 for 1 plus the broken base.
Yeah, and it might even be their game. That is incredibly long. Death time is coming through. They have Deft, and this is what we said, the importance of Jinx for EDG. As soon as they win one team fight, they're able to wreck the base of QG and put them so far behind.
Baron buff runs out just as they get to the Nexus, but they might have enough to try and take it home. TCT, he's thinking about something, but he's not sure what he can do. Depth is going to keep him in the fountain there with the Trumpers. Dives into the fountain to ruin that KDA, but the game does go to EDG.
Yeah, so in the end, just too much raw